The Color Purple. I think the intended message of this movie is that love outweighs distance. One example of this can be seen through Celie and Eddie's relationship. When they were separated from each other for the second time, they thought and prayed about each other every day. Their sisterly love for each other helped both of them persevere. Celie wrote letters to God about her, and Nettie sent letters to Celie every day in the mail, keeping her updated with her life and telling her how much she missed her. Even when separated, they still loved each other immensely. Another example of love outweighing distance also applies to Celie when she got separated from her kids when they were born. However, when Nettie reconnected Celie with her kids, their love and bond was just as strong. They were separated their whole lives and left in Africa, yet the motherly love outweighed the distance. The final example of love outweighing the distance is when Sophia came back from jail, and she was instantly welcomed back into the family and missed despite time and distance prison placed upon her. This movie took place around the 1930s. Black lower-class families experienced significant disruption during the Depression. The Depression made a terrible rural black poverty that existed in the late 1920s even worse. For a 14-hour day, the pay for picking cotton decreased to as low as 60 cents. A family of 6 or 8 sharecroppers might subsist on as low as $10 per month. The numerous menial black jobs that they had given black people work, particularly in the metropolitan South, were likewise eliminated by the Depression. Instead, jobless white people embraced positions they previously detested, such as street sweeping, garbage collection, operating elevators, and domestic service. To frighten black people and oust them from their occupations, white formed vigilant occupations like black skirts in the KKK. The theme is reflective on the time period of this movie was placed because blacks had very poor treatment in the South of our country at this time. People of color were left with nothing but their families and low-paying jobs. Since they were placed in such poor situation, their love had to be strong for each other to help them persevere through their days despite any situation or distance. The movie is told through Celie's point of view. She narrates most of her life events and she addresses God in a sort of diary form to let God know what's gone on in her life and the lives of those around her. The story is told in chronological order. As the movie progresses, characters age and they flash text of what year it is. It supports the overall intent of the movie because it proves perseverance and that love prevails in the test of time. One scene of the movie chosen is when Celie and Eddie get separated. This scene is important to the movie because it sets the tone and storyline for the whole movie and is one of the most traumatic scenes. The whole movie, Celie and Eddie grieve each other because of this scene. 2 elements of film the director uses to convey this scene is sound and atmosphere. During the whole scene, you hear gut-wrenching crying and screaming. The screams were very realistic and expressive, which helps portray the immense trauma being shown. The sound portrayed this in significance because it proves how painful this event was to Celie and Nettie and how the pain was significant and carried throughout the whole film. The atmosphere is also being used to portray the abuse of the film. A sad, painful mood is created. This scene is clearly very violent, as you can see the man forcefully pushing the girls apart and dragging Nettie and Celie down the stairs. The violence in the atmosphere shown is important to the movie because it shows how the girls were treated during this time and how downhearted they made this movie out to be. It's important that this movie was an accurate portrayal of how women of color were treated during this time period, so the scene carried throughout the movie was portraying the depressing aura of these girls' lives. The next scene I chose was Celie yelling and escaping from her abusive husband. This scene is significant because the whole movie she was being abused and was finally able to break free and gain control over her own life. The elements of film used in this scene are lighting and character. During this scene, it was very intense. To display the intensity, the lighting was very dim. The dark/dim lighting added depth to the scene to portray the seriousness of Celie redeeming herself from Mr. This scene was also a great example of character development. Celie was very obedient around Mr. because she feared him and getting beat. However, in this scene, she was loud and stood up for herself. This shows character development and Celie growing to be into her own independent person. This is significant because the whole movie she was trapped behind a man until this scene. One song prominent in the movie is Miss Celie's Blues by Quincy Jones. This song is significant because Shug sings this song to Celie to show her love for her, because she is struggling to feel love and help her persevere. This line, "I've been up to that lonesome road," and I've seen a lot of suns going down, but oh, trust me, no low life's gonna run me around, is repeated throughout the song. This is significant because it is Shug empowering Celie. She is telling her that she knows it's hard for her, but she will be okay because no low life can take control of Celie's life. This fits into the movie perfectly because in this scene, Celie was professing how she feels disgusted and abused by Mr. to Shug, and she sang this song shortly after she told her to enlighten her mood. Another song important to this movie was Maki Dada, sung together by Celie and Nettie. This song was sung by Celie and Nettie clapping their hands together and professing their profound sisterly love to each other. A prominent repeated line is, "You and I are never going to be apart." This is significant because it holds a deeper meaning because it is symbolizing that even if they are separated physically, their hearts will never be apart. This was proven to be accurate by the end of the movie because it was shown that they were reconnected. Their sisterly love outlasted the test of time, and they were always connected through thoughts, prayers, and emotions. The Color Purple is a coming-of-age historical drama. The Color Purple is the first film to have 3 black actors of any gender nominated for an Academy Award, which shows the movie's power and how groundbreaking this film is for people of color. This depiction in media is not shown often, so such a harsh, accurate depiction gave people of color a voice and power for overcoming such a brutal past. This is a Steven Spielberg filmed and directed movie, and it is the first movie with its own original soundtrack, not produced by John Williams. This proves how different and outstanding this movie is compared to others in history. This is a fantastic depiction of the struggles of minorities in the 1900s that not many other films could compare to.